Math 83, Unit 1, Lesson 5. We're going to solve linear equations by using the addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division properties. And then we're also going to solve linear equations involving parentheses and by combining like terms. So in number 1, our goal here is to get x by itself. And we want to first either add or subtract anything we can from both sides of the equation. So here are our two sides of the equation. I'm first going to add 8 to both sides. And minus 8 plus 8 goes away, and I get 7x equals, and then 13 plus 8 is 21. Now I go back and do any multiplication or division needed to solve for x. Here I have a multiplication, 7 times x. I'm going to do the opposite and divide both sides by 7. 7 divided by 7 is 1, and 1 times x gives me x alone. And then 21 divided by 7 is 3. In number 2, our goal here is to get y by itself right here. And we have a 20 minus 5y. So we first have to get rid of the 20. And we do that by subtracting 20 from both sides, doing the opposite. Here are my two sides of the equation. 20 minus 20 is 0, so that goes away, and I bring down my negative 5y. And then 45 minus 20 is 25. And now, to get y by itself, I want to do the opposite of this, negative 5 times y. So I'm going to divide both sides by negative 5. The negative 5's divide out, and we get y equal to, and then 25 divided by negative 5 is negative 5. And number 3, here are my two sides of the equation. First, want to do any adding or subtracting, so I'm going to add 2 to both sides first. Our goal here is getting t by itself, so minus 2 plus 2 goes away, and I get t over 3 is equal to, and then negative 4 plus 2 is a negative 2. Now we're dividing by 3 here, so I have to do the opposite and multiply both sides by 3 so that these 3's go away. And then t is going to equal negative 2 times 3, which is negative 6. In number 4, the first thing we're going to want to do is add 15 to both sides of the equation. So we're going to add 15 here and then 15 to this side. We bring down r over 5. The minus 15 plus 15 goes away, and then 0 plus 15 is 15. Now we're going to go ahead and multiply 5 to both sides of the equation. 5 and 5 divide out, so we get r alone, and 15 times 5 is 75. In number 5, we're going to go ahead and add 9 to both sides first. Minus 9 plus 9 goes away, and we bring down 2/3 x equal to, and then 17 plus 9 is 26. Now we're going to need to multiply both sides by the reciprocal of 2/3. The reciprocal is 3/2. This 2 and this 2 divide out, this 3 and this 3 divide out, and we get x alone. I'm going to go ahead and put this 26 over 1 to make it look like a fraction. When we multiply fractions, we can reduce diagonally. I can reduce the 2 and the 26. 2 goes into itself 1 time and into 26 13 times. Now when we multiply across, 13 times 3 is 39. 1 times 1 is 1, and then 39 over 1 is just 39. Number 6, we're going to go ahead and subtract 14 from both sides first. And we bring down 3y over 8 equal to, the 14 minus 14 goes away, and then negative 10 minus 14 is negative 24. Now we can multiply both sides by the reciprocal of 3/8. That's going to be 8/3. This 8, 8, and then the 3 and the 3 divide out, so we get y alone on the left. We can put negative 24 over 1. Here we can reduce diagonally. 3 goes into itself once, and into 24 8 times. We still have that negative there, so negative 8 times 8 is negative 64. Now in number 7, we have two terms that have an x in them. And so when I look at the two sides of the equation, I want to simplify everything I can on the left side and then everything that I can on the right side first before I do any adding or subtracting of both sides, or multiplying or dividing both sides. So 7x minus 2x, those are like terms. I can just go ahead and combine those by subtracting the numbers in front of x. So 7 minus 2 is 5, and that gives us a 5x. I'll bring down the negative 20, and now to solve I can go ahead and just divide both sides by 5. So x is going to be negative 4. In number 8, here are my two sides of the equation, and I can combine like terms here. I have a negative a and a plus 4a. Together that's going to give me 3a. So I can rewrite this as 28 plus 3a is equal to 7. And then now to solve this, to get a by itself, I have to do any adding or subtracting. I can subtract 28 from both sides. That makes that go away, and I get 3a is equal to, and then 7 minus 28 is going to be a negative 21. And then I can divide both sides by 3. So a is going to be negative 7. In number 9, when I divide the two sides of the equation, this time there's nothing that I can combine on the left side, 3n plus 6, nothing to combine, and then on the right side of the equation, negative n minus 6, no like terms there to combine. But we have to get our n terms together on the same side. So to do that, I can move this negative n here to the left side by adding n to both sides. And a 3n plus n is going to be a 4n. Bring down that 6. And then this minus n plus n goes away. And then I can just bring down this negative 6. Now to continue solving, I can add or subtract something to both sides. Here, this plus 6, I can subtract 6 to both sides. Those 6 minus 6 is 0, so I can just bring down 4n. And then negative 6 minus 6 is negative 12. And then our very last step would be to divide both sides by 4. And then n is going to be negative 3. In number 10, I see parentheses. And I want to go ahead and distribute this 4 to everything inside of these parentheses. So that's our very first step, is to eliminate our parentheses by using the distributive property. I'm going to rewrite this as 3x minus 2, and then when I distribute here on the right hand side, 4 times x is 4x, and then 4 times negative 2, I'll write minus 8 here. Now I'm going to notice that I have x terms on both sides of the equation. I'm going to have to get them together on the same side. Well, I can either move this 4x over to the left, or I can move this 3x over to the right. I tend to do whichever one is going to give me a positive answer. So if I subtract 3x from both sides over here, I'll get a positive x. 4x minus 3x is going to be x. And then I'm going to bring everything else down. This 3x minus 3x goes away. And now I can go ahead and add 8 to both sides and get an x is equal to 6. In number 11, we're also going to get rid of this parentheses by using the distributive property. So 5 times y is 5y, and then we have to do 5 times the negative 1, which will give me a minus 5. Rewrite the rest. Now I have y's on both sides of the equation. So I'm going to move this 2y over to the left by subtracting 2y from both sides. And then this 2y minus 2y goes away. 5y minus 2y is 3y. Bring down the 1 on the right hand side. And then go ahead and solve for y. So we'll add 5 to both sides and get 3y is equal to 6. And then we can do the last step of dividing both sides by 3. So y is going to equal 2. In number 12, we want to go ahead and get rid of the parentheses by using the distributive property here and here. So 5 times 2 is 10, and then 5 times t times a minus t is going to be a minus 5t. And then this set of parentheses, a negative times 1 is going to be a minus 1, and a negative times a negative is going to make that a plus 3t. Now here are my two sides of the equation, and I have some terms I can combine on the left-hand side. I can combine my whole numbers and my t's. So negative 5t plus a 3t can be combined. That's going to give me a negative 2t. And then I can combine my 10 minus 1, and that's going to give me a plus 9. Now when I go ahead and solve, I can subtract 9 from both sides and get negative 2t. These 9 minus 9 goes away, is going to equal a negative 3. And then I can go ahead and divide both sides by negative 2. Now this negative 2 and this negative 2 divide out, and we get t alone. And then a negative divided by negative is a positive, and I can't simplify 3 over 2 any further, so I can just leave it as t equals 3/2. In number 13, we're going to take 3/5 and we're going to multiply it by each term. And I'm going to rewrite this as 3/5 times 15y over 1. I'm going to clean that up here in a second, and then I'm going to take 3/5 and I'm going to multiply it by 10. And I'm going to put that 10 over 1 to make it look like a fraction. Then I'm also going to distribute here. This one's a little bit easier to do. A negative 3 times 4y is going to be minus 12y. And then a negative 3 times 3 is going to give me a minus 9 equal to 0. Now to clean this up right here, we can reduce diagonally by 5 goes into itself once and into 15 3 times. So 3 times 3y is going to be 9y, and then 1 times 1 is going to be 1. So I don't need to put that over 1. When I reduce diagonally here, 5 goes into itself 1 time, into 10 2 times, and 3 times 2 is 6. 6 over 1 is just 6, and I'm going to just bring down the rest of the equation. Now we can see that we can combine like terms here on the left-hand side. We can combine our y's together, and then we can also combine our constants together. So when we combine our y's, we have 9y minus 12y. That's going to be a negative 3y. And then we combine 6 minus 9. That's going to be a minus 3. So to finish this up, we can add 3 to both sides. We get negative 3y is equal to 3. And then we go ahead and divide both sides by negative 3. So y is going to be negative 1. So in number 14, we have a lot going on here. We've got 2 sets of brackets, and so we're going to start with the innermost brackets here, and we're going to go ahead and distribute in here and rewrite the rest. So I'm going to rewrite negative 8m minus big bracket here, and I can go ahead and distribute 2 times 11 is 22, and then 2 times negative 2m is going to be a minus 4m plus 4. Close up the bracket is going to equal 9m. Now we still want to simplify within the bracket. I can see that I have like terms here that I can combine. So I'm going to rewrite everything. Negative 8m minus, again my brackets. I have my negative 4m, and I can combine 22 and 4, and that's going to be 26. And then I rewrite the rest. Now I want to distribute this minus sign inside of these brackets. I'm going to rewrite negative 8m. A negative times a negative is a positive, so that's going to be a plus 4m. And then a negative times a positive is a negative, so this becomes a minus 26. Now we have our 2 sides of the equation here. I still now can combine like terms on the left-hand side. And then I also want to combine with this m on the right-hand side. But first I'll take care of the left. Negative 8m plus 4m is going to be minus 4m. Now I want to get the m's together on the same side. I can do that by adding 4m to both sides. It goes away here, and I get negative 26 is going to equal 13m, and then divide both sides by 13. So m is going to equal negative 2. So now we're going to answer the following. If negative 3c minus 4c minus 15 equals 8c, what's the value of negative 5c plus 13? So what we need to do first is find out what c equals. To do that, we want to see on the left-hand side if we can combine any like terms. We can combine our negative 3c and our negative 4c and get minus 7c. And now I have c's on both sides of the equation. So to put them together, I can add 7c to both sides. Goes away here, bring down the negative 15, and that's going to equal 15c. And then we'll divide both sides by 15. And therefore, c is going to equal negative 1. Now, if c is equal to negative 1, we can substitute that value in for this second part. Negative 5, and then we're going to put in the negative 1 that c equals. And then negative 5 times negative 1 is going to be 5. And then 5 plus 13 is going to be 18. So the value is 18. Go ahead and pause the video now and try number 2 on your own, and then come back and check your answer. Now in number 2, when we solve for x, we're going to first subtract both sides by 3, and then multiply both sides by 5, and we'll get x is equal to 15. And then when we substitute here the value of 15 into the expression, negative 10 times 15 is negative 150, minus 20 is negative 170. In number 3, we're going to have to go ahead and distribute this 4 first to solve for x. So we're going to get 4x plus 28 is equal to 7 plus x. Now we have x's on two sides of the equation, so we want to combine them together. We're going to subtract x from both sides and get 3x plus 28 is equal to 7. And now we can subtract 28 from both sides, and we get 3x is equal to negative 21. And then we can divide both sides by 3, and x is going to be negative 7. Now we want to substitute that negative 7 in place of x here in this expression. So we're going to replace x with negative 7, and we'll do negative 7 over 7 plus 8. Negative 7 over 7 is negative 1, plus 8 is going to be 7. Now go ahead and try number 4 on your own. Pause the video and come back and check your answer. So number 4, when we solve for x, we get negative 50, and then when we substitute negative 50 in place of x, we're going to get negative 34 as our value. Number 5, if the sum of x and 8 is y, what is the sum of x and 5? Well, let me go ahead and write the first part of the sentence. X plus 8, the sum means plus, is y. If I go ahead and solve for x, I want to subtract 8 from both sides, and so I'm going to get x is equal to y minus 8. We want to know what the sum of x and 5 is. Well, all we have to do is take this x and add 5 to it, which means I'm going to have to add 5 to the other side of the equation to keep it balanced. So we'll have x plus 5 is going to equal y, and then negative 8 plus 5 is going to be minus 3. So x plus 5 is going to equal y minus 3, so our choice is D. 6. If the difference of x and 5 is y, difference means minus, of x and 5, so x minus 5 is y, what is the difference of x and 3? Well, here we want to get x alone first. We do that by adding 5 to both sides. We come up with the equation x equals y plus 5. Now we want to know what the difference of x and 3 is. So that means I'm going to have to subtract 3 from both sides. So on the left hand side we have x minus 3, and on the right hand side we have y, and then 5 minus 3 is going to be 2. So x minus 3 is going to equal y plus 2, so our choice is E. If the product of x and 2 is y, well, product means times of x and 2 is y. We want to know what the product of x and 10 is. Well, to solve for x here, we're going to have to go ahead and divide both sides by 2 to get x alone. And so we get x is equal to y over 2. And now we want to know what the product of x and 10 is. That just means I'm going to have to take both sides and multiply it by 10. So 10 times x is 10x. Over here on the right hand side, I can put a 1 over the 10, and then 2 goes into itself once and into 10 5 times. So our expression over here is 5y. So 10x is going to equal 5y. So our choice here is C. The quotient of x and 2 is y, so the quotient means division. So x divided by 2 is going to equal y. We have to get x alone, and we do that by multiplying both sides by 2. These 2's go away, and x is going to equal y times 2, which is just 2y. Now we want to know what the quotient of x and 4 is. Well, that means we just have to divide both sides by 4, and we get x over 4 is going to equal, well, I can simplify this fraction here. 2 goes into itself once and into 4 2 times, so we just get y over 2. So our answer here, well, we don't have anything that looks exactly like y over 2, but this means the same thing if I had a 1 in front of the y as 1/2 y. So our choice is B. Number 9, a part-time student at a college pays a student fee of $45 plus $120 per credit. How many credits is a part-time student carrying who pays $1,485 in all? So if a student pays $45 for a fee plus, we'll write plus down, $120 a credit, we can multiply the 120 times x for the number of credits he's carrying, and all of that is going to equal 1,485. So to solve for x, we're going to go ahead and subtract 45 from both sides first, and that way that goes away, and we are left with 120x is equal to 1440. Now we can divide both sides by 120, and then x is going to equal 12. So the student is taking 12 credits. Number 10, a health club charges members $15 per month plus $5 per hour to use the facilities. If a member was charged $55 this month, how many hours did she use the facilities? Well, it's $15 every month plus $5 for every hour to use a facility. So that's going to be 5 times x. That's going to equal our $55 for that month. Now to solve, we're going to subtract 15 from both sides, and we get 5x is equal to 40, and then we can divide both sides by 5. So x is 8. So she used the facilities 8 hours this past month.